We're live.
We are. That's tasty. Doodle-doo, doodle-doo.
We're void of special effects, but we are live.
Yes, right? Yeah. And I'm Amy.
And I'm Derrick, and I'm having drinks with Amy. How you doing, Amy?
I'm really tired.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if it's just winter.
Yeah.
What, but it is finally cold.
Yeah. 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 What are you drinking?
I am drinking a 7 and 7.
Nice. Fancy.
Yeah. Like actually 7.
Actually 7. In the suspicious brown bottle.
In the plastic.
Plastic suspicious brown bottle.
I don't know. It was in the fridge. So I'm drinking it.
Sometimes you drink what's in the fridge.
Yeah. How about you? What are you drinking?
So I am drinking one of my all-time favorite beers. It's called Dragon's Milk. And if dragons lactated, this is what I imagine it would taste like.
That's kind of like nerdy and disgusting.
Yeah, well, that's me in a nutshell.
Delicious.
No, it's dark and it's delicious. It's magical. Yes, good description. It's magical. So how was your Thanksgiving?
It was good. It's the first Thanksgiving I've actually had with family in a very long time.
Yeah.
Ever since my grandparents passed away, we haven't really. That was kind of the impetus to come together.
Mm-hmm.
And now that my generation has in-laws to see and stuff, folks just haven't been getting together for a while. So this year, now that Carly and I are here, we it was my 2 sisters and their significant others came over to my parents' house, which is where we are, and then my dad's 2 sisters came over, and then my sister's husband's mother and brother came over.
Okay.
So I think there were like 12 of us total.
Oh.
Yeah, and we like got through the whole thing. Well, okay, first of all, they left me out of the prayer. Like,
What?
grace. Like, I went downstairs for 3 minutes, and I came back up, and it, like, the prayer was happening. And I was like,
that's like the opposite of what's supposed to happen.
Well, and like, I'm married, so you would think that the person I'm married to would be like, oh, Amy's not here. Like, no one noticed I was gone.
Wow.
I mean, Carly, in her defense, she was like, I thought you were behind so-and-so. I was like, no. So then I like missed the prayer.
Ugh.
And then I was like, no, it's fine.
See, usually they ask the ministry person to do the prayer. Not cool.
No, in my we ask the patriarch. Yeah, and then like, so whatever, I was a little bit miffed, but whatever. And so then like the food's good. I mean, there's food, that's good. And my mom was worried that the turkey was too hot. but it was fine. And then we're all watching the Cowboys versus the Indians.
Yes, that was the Thanksgiving game.
Like, really? I guess, yeah, it wasn't technically the Indians. I guess it was the Redskins.
Well, it's the offensively named Redskins. So,
yeah,
even better.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, God. But anyway, I mean, Kansas City's the Chiefs.
Right.
So
Well, which is not as offensive as Redskins, but
a little bit better. Yes. At least it's an arrowhead and not like a caricature of a native person.
right.
So we're watching this game, and all of a sudden, my aunt goes, I just root for whichever team has the most white guys. And I was like,
Wow.
what? Right? Like, why would you say that out loud?
Well, why would you say it in your head? But why would you definitely why would you say it out loud?
First of all, the F does that have to do with anything? Second of all, why does that need to be spoken in a group of people?
So when that was said, like what was the family strategy? Was that let's just move on past that, or
It
was
was just silent.
just silent?
And I don't think anybody really knew what to do because they know how I feel about everything because I'm very vocal.
Sure.
And so I think like just waiting to see who was going to talk first. And it was just kind of this moment of like, okay, who's going to take this one? You know. And I was basically like, I was like, you're talking about a group of people who were bred to be faster and stronger and better than white people. I was like, so your guys don't stand a chance. And like that felt like I was just trying to like create historical awareness, but also not make it too like there's nothing you could like what can you even say in that moment?
Not a whole lot.
You know?
Not a whole lot.
Yeah, and it's like I mean, she and I have a history, and I mean, when I came out, she handed me a pamphlet called What the Bible Really Says About Homosexuality from a Jesus can save you from your
right
from perspective, like a
perspective.
Like kind of an gay ministries kind of thing, kind of perspective. And I handed her Mel White's pamphlet, What the Bible Really Says About Sexuality, which is the opposite.
And
she was, because as soon as I came out, she was like, I have some things you should read. Mind you, is after seminary.
Right.
At this point, I have a master's degree from a religious institution. And she's saying, you should read this. And I'm like, no. I said, okay, I'll read yours if you read mine. So I know that I'm not going to change her mind, and nothing's like, no amount of conversation is going to change her political opinion.
Right.
We're in a agree to disagree kind of relationship.
Sure.
And so like 1,000 things went through my head at that moment of like, how can I be an ally here? How can I this situation? How can I awareness to this that doesn't make everyone in the room feel like this, if they stay silent? You know, like I just, so many things went through my head at that moment, and all I could think of was slavery.
Which is a great way to make Thanksgiving awkward.
It's like, And then at the same time, I was kind of proud that I wasn't the person to bring all this shit up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, normally I'm the one who makes some, like, offhanded liberal comment
Mm-hmm.
and then jumped on or whatever. And I was very, very good, and I didn't do any of those things. And there were many opportunities to, make fun of her, and I just about him, but there were opportunities to be like, yeah, well, at least it's not, or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, sure.
But anyway, so that's what happened. And that was unfortunate moments of Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that.
Otherwise, it was actually to be with family and my aunt who's been going through chemo. That was nice. Just spent time with her and made a pie.
Nice.
So, yeah. That was how that went. How about you?
Nice. My Thanksgiving was pretty nice. So it was just me and my kids and Shannon and her kids. So there was just the 6 of us. And was at some point, like, as we're having dinner, very aware that usually at Thanksgiving there's like a kids table and an adults table or something like I was very aware that like we were the adults and there were no other adults, and I was kind of like looking around, and I said this to my therapist on Monday. I was kind of looking around for adultier adults, and there weren't any. That actually kind of segues into what I was hoping we could talk about tonight, because one of the things that I became aware of in that moment is that so Shannon and I are both kind of estranged from family. And as I started to process that, some of the grief of that started to set in. Of going into the holiday season kind of estranged from parents, not on best terms with siblings, and it's been kind of sad. Like it's actually been kind of sad, and kind of going into as you like immediately shift gears from Thanksgiving to Christmas, and knowing that Christmas is also going to have that dynamic, and in some ways that dynamic will be heightened. Yeah, this is all of a sudden, and don't get me wrong, my actual Thanksgiving day was great, and we had so much fun with the kids, and they were here for like 4 days, and it was just like 4 days of a loud house full with kids doing fun things. But then when it slowed down, as this week started and things started to slow down, and I started to reflect, like just very aware of like some really deep sadness around the holidays, some really deep like missing people both dead and alive. Like sometimes you grieve relationships for people who haven't passed. And yeah. So and I know that, and I feel like I'm dealing with a fairly mild case of it. And I know that for a lot of people, the holidays are really, really tough. There's estrangement from family. There's the high expectations of what the holidays are supposed to be and what they actually are. There's awkward interactions with family. who the ones who do show up and sometimes wish they wouldn't. Um, so yeah, so that's just been kind of on my mind and thinking about. And then, there's also, just to, kind of add to the mix, it's the fact that like at 4:30, it's super dark.
Yeah.
Like it hasn't been cold here the last couple days, but it's been raining nonstop. So it's been like gray and overcast. But even when it's not raining, by 4:35 it's dark, and we're just having these very. So even that piece of it can add to just kind of the blues that people get around the holidays, and so that's kind of been on my mind a lot lately. How is that something that you experience, or is that something that you have experienced in the past, or something that you go through now?
Yeah, well, last year I was here in October for a wedding, and at that point I was like, I cannot imagine Cisco for Christmas, because there were it had been like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years that it was like Christmas morning was me and Carly on Skype with my family opening presents.
Yeah.
And Christmas shopping meant shopping online and having it shipped to my mom's house, and like my mom and my sisters wrapping the presents that I got for people. And then vice versa, when presents would come in the mail for us, like I would wrap Carly's and she would wrap mine. But that's just kind of sad. Sad. And so last year for Christmas, I finally had enough rewards points to not have to pay out of pocket for a flight for both Carly and I. And so I had like, I don't know, 65,000 points or something, and I spent all of them getting home for Christmas. And our Christmas tradition has changed a lot since my grandparents have passed away. Growing up, it was always Christmas Eve with my mom's side of the family and Christmas Day with my dad's side of the family. And Christmas Eve was always so awesome because we'd have dinner at my grandma's house, and I'd get to see all of my cousins, because my mom has 2 siblings and they have 2 and 3 kids. And then I was one of 3. And so, and we're all 2 years apart. So there's a cousin every 2 years.
Okay.
So, and I was 3rd from the youngest, and then my 2 sisters were younger. But it was always so much fun because we got to like play and hang out and open presents and eat food, and it was just always a really good time. And then Christmas morning, we'd go over to my other grandma's house, and she'd make biscuits and gravy, and we'd watch we'd open presents and then watch the football game and have ham and like dinner, and it was always just this huge production. It was always really, really fun. And then we all grew up and they passed away, and now it's just kind of like we have new traditions, I guess, but it's tricky when you're not the kid anymore. Like it was like, it's like they were the tradition holders and the tradition makers. Like my grandparents created that family, and they created those rituals and those traditions and those events. And once they were no longer there, it was like, well, now what? And it's almost like the So it's like there's the grandparent generation, there's the parent generation, and then there's the third generation.
Mhm.
And it's almost like after the loss of that first generation, it's almost like the third generation has to step up
Mhm.
because the second generation is in too much pain.
Mhm.
Like, yeah, it's devastating to lose a grandparent that you're close to, but imagine how much more devastating it'll be to lose parents that I'm close to.
Right.
You know? And in my family, like, that just didn't happen. Like, my generation didn't step up because I don't feel like we knew we needed to. And at that point, all my cousins were married with their own kids and their own in-laws to see, and, you know, it kind of became really complicated. So for me, it's like, it's not just a loss of the people, it's a loss of the experience.
Mm.
There are no new Christmas Eve memories to be made with my mom's side of the family because we no longer get together on Christmas Eve. And that's really sad.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's, you know, it's really sad that my grandparents aren't here.
Mm-hmm.
And it's even sadder to me that, you know, so much of that togetherness has been lost as well. And that just makes it harder.
Yeah.
And, you know, my sisters don't have kids yet or anything, so haven't quite cycled around to the point that my parents are the grandparents.
Right. Right.
Which eventually that'll happen.
Sure.
But we're not there yet, so it's just kind of this awkward, like, in between moment. So, like, holidays are more fun with kids around.
Yeah, they are.
They just don't, you know? So.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yes. Yes to all of those things. The weather, the loss of people, the loss of togetherness and traditions. Yeah, I mean, part of it is that, like with my mom's siblings, like, they got together for the sake of their parents.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Our parents are like, do we really want to see each other and have a relationship?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that kind of becomes optional when the grandparents are no longer sort of the catalyst. Right. For people to just be civil and put baggage aside and all that stuff. But an added dimension to that on my mom's side of the family is that my grandmother was an alcoholic, and there were 10 years that my mom's sister and my mom's mom didn't speak. So at all family gatherings, grandma would come first, and then when she left, my aunt and her husband and her kids would show up. And so there's, after my grandma got sober, it was kind of like this intensity to the gatherings, because it was kind of like, we've missed so much time and there's so much time that's been lost, and we have to make up for that. Together, we were really together. Yeah. And now we don't get together.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, I've thought a lot about, in the last few years, I've thought a lot about how certain people in the family are catalysts for family gatherings. And if those people are out of the equation, or if those people are not stepping up for whatever reason, then, like, people just don't get together, and and you realize how important that individual or that couple or that family was of bringing everyone together. And when they're out of the picture, people kind of just do their own thing. And
yeah, because generally that has to be someone that everybody likes.
Exactly.
Right? I mean,
or at least everyone respects.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and then the added thing for me in the last couple of years has been, holidays have been very different since the divorce.
Yeah.
So, both last year and this year coming, I wasn't with my kids on Christmas morning. Like, I haven't been with my kids on Christmas morning for 3 years, and that's like, that's Christmas morning with little kids. Like, that's the show, right? That's the show. That's the show. So I'll have them the day after Christmas and the week after Christmas. But like, I mean, there's a grieving of that too, of like that Christmas morning, that magical face that the kids make on Christmas morning, that is missing. And it was really fun to have them out here for Thanksgiving, and my ex and I are we're doing a really good job, I think, of kind of splitting the holidays, but like even just having to negotiate that split is, it adds something to it adds a sadness to the holidays that that wasn't there, and that and I'm becoming more aware of how many people I know who are divorced or children of divorce, and like how many people have to go through that, and how many people have to negotiate those kinds of, you're with mom on Thanksgiving, you're with dad on Christmas, you're with that sort of stuff. Just adds a whole lot of other dynamics that just really weighs on you during the holidays. And so I'm in a situation where
and
oh, go ahead.
Are you there? Are you there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Sorry.
Okay.
You're kind of in a little bit.
Okay.
So go slow.
Okay, I will go slow. I'm in a situation where the holiday is about the kids, and trying to create memories for them and traditions for them, and there's still, I mean, I think in some ways, the divorce still feels kind of fresh, and there's a element of compensating, for it not being the Christmas or the holiday that I would have imagined for my kids at this age, So
and does that bring up other feelings of like inadequacy, or like does it bring up any thoughts or feelings of like second guessing, or like replaying alternative endings, or
oh yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, it definitely makes me, it definitely makes me think of, the kind of the what ifs of, how could this have been avoided, and you know, there's guilt there, there's frustration there, there's
Mhm.
anger there, there's sadness there. um and I think, again, so much of, like, we do this thing where we have this incredible expectation for ourselves of wanting the holidays to be magical, that becomes compounded when all of a sudden it's your responsibility to make the holidays magical for your kids, you know?
Mhm.
um
Yeah, because you're Santa Claus.
oh my god, yeah. I mean, so there's that. I mean, there's the Santa
Mhm.
Claus thing, and
What's
there,
this elf on the shelf business?
well, um
Do you do you have? I mean, do you do that? Is that a thing for you guys?
that is something that Shannon does with her kids. I try and stay. I want I want no part I want no part of reinforcing a police state in the house.
There you go. I I saw a meme that was like, I already have enough little people that make messes when I'm not looking, or something like that. So
I Yeah, I just think it kind of creates this very big brother-ish, uh, like, you have to be well behaved because they're watching. Um, I don't know, like, I mean, because, I mean,
when you're sleeping, he knows when you're awake.
well, I mean, and, like, we can do that with Santa, we can do that with God, and it's like all of those sorts of things are I don't know, like, it's great behavior control.
Yeah.
It's not a good way to, create a healthy functioning human being. Um, so not a fan.
Mhm.
Not a fan.
So, um, what are we saying about all of this?
I mean,
We've kind of our experiences, and so the question becomes like, how do we do the holidays
yeah.
in a way that honors the complexity of our experience, while at the same time, like, keeping in mind sort of the liturgical grounding of this time, which, depending upon what um, tradition you're looking at, it's like, on a nature level, we're approaching um, equinox, right?
Mhm.
And, like, the shortest day of the year, the darkest day of the year, like the most nighttime, um, and sort of what that means on the level of nature. I mean, it's like on Monday or Sunday, birthday, we went to this place called Squaw Creek. And it's this nature preserve, um, like an hour and a half northeast of here. And um, it's this place where I think they have up to like 1 million birds come through during migration every year. And a lot of bald eagles come through on their migration south. And this year it's been so warm that none of the birds have migrated yet.
Hmm.
And so we go up to Squaw Creek and she's like, oh my gosh, it's going to be amazing. You don't even understand. It's amazing. I'm like, okay. So we go into the visitor center and we're like watching this video, and, there's like these, just like, there are these, it's this marshland. So I guess it's a really rare sort of geological phenomenon where it's in the prairie. And So anyway, a lot of birds land here on their migration. And like for all, like there's not a single inch of water that's not covered in birds, usually. So of course it's too warm. So we go out to the marsh and it's like a few ducks and mainly frogs.
Oh.
I definitely saw more tadpoles than birds. And of course, Mom is devastated. She's like, "You guys, I swear, this is such a cool thing." And, she's just like going off on like how awesome this is and how we're missing it. And, she's so frustrated. And, I was just like, okay. Yeah, but like, where are these frogs gonna go? And I was just thinking about like the frogs that bury themselves in the ground for the winter, and the bears that hibernate for the winter, and the birds that fly south for the winter. And I'm like, it's just us human weirdos that are like, oh, I think I'll just ride this out.
Yeah.
Dark, terrible awfulness.
So stupid. It's so stupid.
And in the meantime, in the Christian tradition, which, of course, we could argue the timing of Christmas, but historically, but time of Advent, which is like this, like potentially awful time of waiting.
Yes.
Sorry, but I feel like pastors try to like spin it as this like magical moment of anticipation before the Savior comes, and I'm like, have you ever talked to a pregnant woman?
I have.
She's uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Like, gestation is not easy.
Yeah.
It's always fun. You can't drink alcohol or coffee. You have to be careful about how much weight you lift. Like, yeah. It's a risky thing, pregnancy.
Yeah.
Gestation. And it's like, no matter how many pastors want to like spin it as this magical time, in our bodies we know the awkwardness and the ickiness and the pain, and it's like that has to be part of the conversation too.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting how many of our Advent scriptures are apocalypses. That like, and this year in particular, like I'm just very much feeling the like sense of apocalypse of like the world's coming to an end, and two people are out in the field and one gets left behind and all that kind of jazz. Because it's not necessarily supposed to be this magical waiting time. It's supposed to be this time of preparation, and it's supposed to be a time of like kind of getting your shit together. My friend Jason is Jason Chestnut is one of the co-creators of an Advent devotional that is out right now that is called "Fuck This Shit." And it's great. It's so good. And part of it is just kind of like looking at the world around us and really kind of saying like, yeah, fuck this shit. And that's kind of what Advent, a lot of what our Advent scriptures are about is like, for people of privilege, apocalypses are scary. For people for whom their only hope is God, apocalypse is like the way of saying to the world, fuck this shit, we want something better, and that better comes in the form of Jesus. and the kingdom of God. And so, I mean, there's part of me that's really embracing that, really embracing that, like, fuck this shit is a great Advent motto. This year,
Well, I'm pretty sure that's what Mary was saying by the time she's on that donkey knocking on the door of inns and has no place to stay.
And,
stable. Are you kidding me?
And I'm fairly sure I've heard pregnant women say those exact words.
Yeah. She's like, yo, this is the Son of God in my belly.
Yeah.
Like, hello.
I've got a belly full of God right now, and I need to get it out. Yeah. And I think there's just there's just part of us that's kind of like part of Advent is I think addressing an awareness of just the discomfort of the world and the dissatisfaction that we have with the world.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of pretending that everything's magical, like really just being okay with the fact that no, there's a lot of lament, and there's a lot of anger, and there's a lot of sadness. And this is the time of year where, as we're getting closer and closer to the birth of Christ, where it's okay for us to say the world's not as it should be. The world's not what we want it to be. Our lives aren't as we want it to be.
I feel like liberation plays a pretty big role in what we're talking about. Mm-hmm. Which is that, in the Christian theology, God became flesh in the form of his Son to be risen again in everlasting of our sins.
Right.
Something like that. I put that more eloquently before, but whatever.
Blah, blah, blah.
And it's like, if there's one message that keeps ringing in my ears in this time of Advent, in this time of President-elect Trump plus Advent, the message is that because I believe in a liberating God, I am a person who is free. And no matter what the government says, no matter what politicians say, no matter what the media says, I get to carry myself as a person who is owned by no one other than the one who created and sustains me.
Yeah.
And it's really sort of get pulled off of that center of liberation, the understanding that I've already been freed. The oppression of obviously external circumstances are what they are, but there's a certain way that we oppress ourselves in our own lives. And it's that which I feel free from. And those of us who have a spiritual life, who have a spiritual awareness, who have access to this deeper well of divine wisdom, we are the ones that have to hold fast to that liberation, to our own freedom.
Mhm.
I'm choosing to not get bogged down by what's happening politically, by what's happening socially and culturally. I am continuing to be a source of love and divine inspiration in the world. Advent is like, this year at least, is not so much waiting for this savior. It's an honoring of the time when people did have to wait that savior. While in actuality, I am already saved. I already know the love of God, the unconditional, forgiving love of God.
That's a great way of looking at it.
Feel that, and I can have that for myself, and I can channel it into my life, and I can channel it into the people in my life. And the narrative of Advent is a past narrative. In present time, that it has already happened.
Yeah.
I have to go back in time to that moment of waiting. I can bear witness to that moment when people had to wait, while at the same time continuing to tap into that which has already come, which is I already have access to that unconditional love of God created upon the crucifixion, resurrection, and ascension of Christ. Ascension of Christ and descension of the Holy Spirit.
Right.
So it's like, I still have the Holy Spirit
Mm-hmm.
in present time.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and that's such a great way of looking at it, because I think so often what we do is we put ourselves in the shoes of those who were waiting originally to such an extent that we forget that it is a past event and we're already on the other side of it.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, we deny ourselves.
Yeah.
We deny ourselves the freedom and the unconditional love that we already have.
Right. And it comes from a good place, but I think for the sake of our sanity, particularly in a year like this year, it's good to remember that we are on the other side of it, and that we aren't waiting for a thing. We're on the other side of the thing, and we can live in the freedom of being on the other side of the thing now, because that's really what the world needs, is the freedom that being on the other side of the thing means. I mean, that's that.
And there will always be a King Herod. There will always be an oppressor.
Yep.
The more that we can embody freedom, the more that we as Christian people can live as liberated people, love and positivity and courage and joy into the world, the faster it will change.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That, to me, that's the face of God.
Yeah.
In the world. The face of God in the world is the face of a person who is motivated by love, who is motivated by justice, who is motivated by a force that is greater than themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. So in practical terms, what does that mean for you as we get deeper and deeper into the holiday season? What does that look like? How are you embodying that as you get closer, how maybe you haven't given this a ton of thought. How would you like to embody that as we get closer and closer to Christmas?
I mean, I honestly have found myself to be a little bit of a Scrooge this year because, like, Black Friday and Cyber Monday and like the materialism, all the stuff, and it's like, Christmas, we're just like moving money around, you know, like it's like, you know, so I can get really Scroogey about it in the sense that it's like, oh, this is such an obligation and it's so annoying. Like, people give me lists and then I have to coordinate with other people about what they got from the list, and we have to make sure nobody gets a duplicate thing, and then like, can't we just draw names? You know, it's like, but then I remember that gift giving is a language of love. And it is not a language that is primary for me. I'm a physical affection, quality time person. Gift giving is like my least accessible love language. But this year I'm really trying to speak that language and to practice giving gifts from that place of love. And it's like, yeah, there's the thing that the person wants, and so I'm getting them that thing, but I'm also really wanting to make something. I feel like part of the materialism of our world is that we actually have fewer and fewer things that are handmade. Mm-hmm. My most precious items are things that were handmade by people I know and love. Yeah. So the way that I'm through is to remember, is to ground myself in the reality that risen Savior, that gift giving is a way to express love, and I get to express that love in whatever way feels authentic to me. I don't have to just go with sort of the status quo thing of like, oh, here's my Christmas list, get me something from my list, blah, 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 blah. Right. It's like, yeah, I'll get you something from your list. And I express myself through art, and I want you to have an expression of that.
I like it.
Yeah. How about you?
So I am notoriously grinchy this time of year, and I am fighting that tooth and nail. So I was gung ho about, the day after Thanksgiving we put the tree up, and I was the one who cheerleaded the blasting of the Christmas music. And for me, it's really just about, I feel like this year more than many others, I feel like we just need joy. And so I'm not fighting Christmas this year. Like, I'm not fighting the cultural expressions of Christmas this year. As much as like I can be very critical of the very sappy and superficial expressions of our cultural Christmas celebration, I'm just not going to fight them this year. I'm just going to Like, like we put up the Christmas tree, and Shannon's allergic to pine, so we have an artificial Christmas tree, and so we have like pine smell in a can. And like I'm adjusting to that. It's the thing I've adjusted to. But, like I go down in the morning and I spray the pine smell because like you know what? Damn it! Like the pine smell makes me feel like Christmas.
Get a pine candle and
and we have a pine candle, and so like it really is about those little things that like that I have been Grinchy about in the past, and I'm just saying, you know what? Right now, the world can't afford my Grinchiness. Like the world just can't. Like we just can't afford me being Grinchy this year.
We have a Grinch for president.
Exactly. Like we don't need another one. Like we don't need another Grinch right now. We need Cindy Lou Who's. We need people. We need people singing and holding hands and I'm okay with that. I'm really okay with that. And I think part of it is also really just thinking about not letting any sadness or any feelings of sadness that I have get in the way of the fact that I have people around me, I have little people around me for whom this season is still incredibly magical. And for me, continuing to support that magic and like create that magic and keep that illusion, because there's something very sweet and beautiful about that magic that kids have in their eyes around the season. That I feel like it's my job to protect that. And so yeah. So that's kind of what I'm doing. I feel like yeah. I'm never naive enough to be blind to the sadness that can come along with this season, but to the extent that I can, I want to protect the magic as much as I possibly can.
Yeah, it's like, give yourself some time to be Grinchy.
Yeah, but I'm doing that in private though. Like the Grinchy.
Yeah, like in your own space. It's like, okay, I just woke up. I'm giving myself 20 minutes to be Grinch.
It's like a string of bah humbugs when I first wake up, but then
and then I hit the door from my bedroom into the rest of the house, and
if there's Christmas music on the radio, then let it play and spray the pine smell.
Yep. In acceptance of yourself and the season and the people around.
Exactly. That's it. So what's going on? What do you still have space for clients? How's that going?
I booked 3 new clients in November.
Excellent.
No, it's so good.
So good. You have room for more?
I have room for more. I don't really know yet what capacity is. I figure I'll know it when I find it.
Fair enough.
But I have a couple things coming up. So December 8th. No. Friday, December 9th. I'm going to be part of a thing called Sacred Circle, it's an interplay event here in Kansas City. And then December 17th, and I'm really excited about this. December 17th at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, at the Berkeley Riverfront Park, which is actually here in Kansas City, Missouri, but it's named after someone whose last name was Berkeley, along the Missouri Riverbank. So it's a park on the bank of the Missouri River. And we're going to be doing an art response in solidarity with Standing Rock.
Nice. Very cool.
Yeah, so we're going to be doing ritual honoring the water protectors who are currently standing at Standing Rock, and then to honor the interconnectedness of our waterways and the fact that here in Kansas City, Missouri, we are downstream the Dakota Access Pipeline through the Missouri River.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and from where we'll be, you can see where the Kansas and the Missouri rivers come together. So it's a really cool spot. I'm really excited. The 21st, which is a Wednesday night, we're probably going to do some sort of winter solstice. I think it's the solstice.
Yeah.
Equinox. I don't know. Whatever that is.
Yeah, I think it's the solstice. Yeah.
So we'll be doing a thing about the winter solstice, honoring that. Sanctuary for the Arts, December 7th. So next week is doing a production called I See Fire in partnership with Mythic Theater at Apple.
Nice.
So that's very exciting. And then in January, we're partnering with Fox and the Creation of Spirituality to create a day dedicated to this.
Nice.
So a lot going on.
Very cool. Very cool. Nothing much going on my end, but I did just have, and I will put it on the Drinks with Amy page. I have been, for the past year, I've been working with a local college. Goucher College has an institute for Islamic, Christian, and Jewish studies. And for the past year, they have had about 27 community leaders who are from all the three Abrahamic faiths, and talking about all of our faiths and the way that our faiths talk about justice, and imagining how we do justice in an interfaith collaborative way in Baltimore. And so we each had to write something about that, and my piece, and all of our pieces are going to show up on the Huffington Post. My piece got printed by the Huffington Post today. So I will put that on the Drinks with Amy page. We've had, so we had the 27 leaders, and then we've been opening the doors to people from all the Abrahamic faiths to just kind of get together, do a little bit of reading, and talking about how we imagine justice in Baltimore. And we've had like about 200 people coming in from around the city to have these interfaith conversations. And it's been really great. And so I'm just big shout out to the ICJS, and that's been a really fun thing to be a part of.
Awesome.
Yeah. So we'll be back in 2 weeks. Yeah. Yeah.
And we had sort of tabled our parenting talk because my mom was busy tonight.
Yeah.
So we could, because you all need to meet the creature that I came out of.
She popped in once, and after that, you just kind of whet our appetite for, like, we need to meet your mom.
I mean, she raised a lot of babies in her 24 years as a child care provider. So
excellent. So that in 2 weeks.
I think it'll work for next time. Otherwise, we'll
We'll figure it out.
present.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So.
All right.
Yay! Well, keep it, my friend.
Yeah, you too. It's good to talk to you. All right.
You too.
Bye.
We'll see you all soon.
Okay. Bye. Bye, everybody.